others have not. And then there was a lot of news on the Paycheck Protection Plan program and how small businesses can get some help. So we've got business and tax attorney Phillip Ma joining us tonight to answer some of these questions for us. And what I think is really important is that he's got some tips to give you on how you can perhaps try to get the most money as possible to help you and your family out. And also if you are a small business owner, or even if you are a like a 1099 employee, there we could get some help too, right? The people who don't have W-2s or don't actually, who don't actually own a business. Philip?
If you are under the PPP program, which is kind of interesting, it doesn't apply just for businesses or even businesses with employees. It can apply to independent contractors. It can apply to freelance workers. It can apply to essentially anyone who gets a 1099 at the end of the year, and then they have to file some kind of Schedule C on their tax returns. And it's based off of the Schedule C.
Okay, very good. So we're going to get to that in just one moment. Right now, I want to talk about the stimulus checks. I know that some people already have received them. Some people are wondering where theirs are. They're checking the mailbox every day, and they have not received theirs yet. Already, we have a question from Jim Rotter. Jim, thank you for that. We're going to get that in just a second. But first, let's just go through the basics. And Philip, so tell us, who is going to be receiving a stimulus check?
Essentially, it is everybody that qualifies and they're under a certain income threshold. And it's actually pretty straightforward in terms of the income threshold. If you are a single individual filing a single individual tax return, then if your adjusted gross income is $75,000 or less, then you get the full stimulus amount, which is $1,200. If you are a married couple, filing a joint tax return, and your combined adjusted gross income is under $150,000, you get $2,400. And if you're a family and you get and you have children dependents who are 16 and under, for every additional child you have in the family, it's an additional $500. And it's based on your tax returns of 2019. And if you have not filed your 2019 tax returns yet, then the IRS will look back to your 2018 tax returns.
Okay, and then how can we expect to receive these? Is it going to be sent in the mail? I heard that you might just actually already have it in your bank account.
Yeah, so what the IRS does is they look at how you receive your refunds in the past. So if in your prior returns you use a bank account to get a direct deposit amount, then you'll just get the IRS will use that same bank account number and direct deposit your stimulus payment directly into your account. If you do not have direct deposit, then you're going to be getting a paper check.
Okay.
In the mail.
All right. So you talked about those levels of income to get the maximum. So if you make more than that, you may still get something. It's just on like a scale, right?
Yeah. So let's say you are the married couple with $150,000 adjusted gross income limit. The higher your income goes, then the less you get. And it goes for every $100 that is above the threshold, then your amount decreases by $5.
Oh, okay.
So the higher it goes, and the less you get.
Right. And then there's actually a group of people who are kind of out of luck. I had one person message me on Facebook saying, the IRS made a mistake. I've got 3 kids, but I didn't receive all my money. Well, one of her kids is 17.
Yeah.
And, right? So they're
in that weird no man's land that, I don't know how else to say it, but they're just, if your child is 17 and they're still a dependent on your tax returns, they don't get $1,200 and you don't get $500 either.
Right.
It has to be a dependent 16 and under.
Okay. So you have to be 16 or under to get that $500 per child stimulus check. And then I think when this first came out, one of the things we said was, most college students aren't going to get anything, right?
Yeah. Basically the rules are, if your parents still have you as a dependent, even if you're, let's say 18, 19 years old, even if you have a job, but your parents still claim you as a dependent, you do not get any stimulus money. $1,200 you don't get, and your parents don't get $500 either.
Right. Okay. So some people have already received them. Some people have not. It is, well, there are a lot of people waiting, and so a lot of either checks or deposits have to be made. If you have not received your stimulus check yet, do you have any tips on what that person, what, like, let's say if I haven't received mine yet, what can I do to kind of help myself get as much money from the stimulus plan that I can?
Yeah, you have to make sure you actually qualify first for the stimulus check. So you have to look at your 2018, 2019 returns. Now, if you file your 2018 returns, and let's say as a family you make above $150,000, let's say you make 200,000, because after 200,000, it gets basically there's no more money left after you reach the $200,000 level, and so let's say you make $200,000 in 2018, but you believe that in 2019 you will be making under $150,000, then you want to file your tax returns immediately if you haven't filed them yet, because once you file them, you'll be eligible for the full $2,400 or whatever it is stimulus check money.
Okay, so then what you're saying is if you have not filed 2019 taxes, the IRS will base your stimulus on your 2018 tax return, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's the rule.
right. So if you made less money in 2019, then you better hurry the heck up and do your taxes for 2019 because that'll help you.
Yeah, I mean, if the sooner you file your tax return, then the sooner you'll get your check. I mean, you could wait, but then if you wait to file your tax returns, you won't be seeing your stimulus check money anytime soon.
Right. Now, because people send me a lot of stuff, what if you're in a situation where you've already received your stimulus check? It was based off of 2018 tax return. You made less money in 2019, but you just haven't filed your taxes yet. But you've already received your stimulus check. Do you know whether after you file 2019, if you might be seeing any more money?
No, if you already received the full eligible amount, whether it's $1,200 or $2,400, based on your 2018 tax returns, you're not going to get an additional, $2,400 in 2019.
No, what I mean is, let's say you made more money in 2018, okay? So the check that you got is not the full $1,200. But in 2019, you didn't make that much money, and based on those numbers, you would get the full amount. But you've already received your
Oh, yeah.
check. So might you still see more money if you went ahead and filed your 2019 taxes?
Yeah, you'll just get the difference. So
Okay,
say
yeah.
you received, so you say you got $900 instead of $1,200 in 2018, and if you qualify, you would get the difference of $300.
Okay, very good. So that's very, very good to know. So if your 2019 tax returns are going to help you get more money, then hurry up and file your taxes.
Yeah, the sooner you file, the sooner you'll get it.
But the law is once you get your stimulus check, you don't have to pay any of it back, meaning if they gave you the full $1,200 based on your 2018 numbers, in 2019 you made more money and wouldn't have qualified for that much, but if they already sent it to you, you get to keep it, right?
Yeah, that's a question people actually ask a lot, and they're kind of worried that, if I get my check, do I have to pay it back in 2020 or 2021? And the answer is no, because this is a tax. It's essentially a tax credit. You're getting a credit for $1,200 or $2,400, whatever you qualify for, and that's yours to keep. Whatever you make in the following year, you're not required to pay any of that back.
Okay.
But yeah, it's free money, yours to keep.
Okay, so that answers another question, and that is a lot of people are wondering, because they say there's no such thing as a free anything, especially from the government. If you get this stimulus check, if you use the money, will you have to pay it back? And the answer is no, right?
No, for sure, no. It's kind of unprecedented if you think about the CARES Act and just the amount of money that's being poured in. I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like it in terms of the government assisting the American people financially the way the government's doing. I think it's a really good thing that they're doing, like them or not. I think it's a good thing that they're doing this.
Oh, I agree. I never heard of anything like this. I mean, first of all, what we're headed for is, I think we're headed for another recession. I mean, things just look awful. But if you go back to 2008, 2009, a lot of people were hurting then, but no one got any help like we're getting now, right? So
Yeah,
this is really unprecedented.
yeah. I mean, uh, for whatever reason, maybe the government has learned from 2008, 2009, and they're doing things differently. Maybe it's the administration. I mean, I don't know, but they're definitely been much more proactive this time around, much more aggressive in trying to keep the economy from going down. I mean, they're trying to prevent a great recession. We don't know if it's going to work, but I mean, I have to applaud them for doing whatever they can to keep this afloat. And it's much different than it was in 2008, 2009, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And but then again, so are the times. I mean, what we're dealing with right now is just really incredible, and nothing any of us have ever dealt with before. Let's move on to the Paycheck Protection Program. This is really interesting. There's been a lot in the news lately. You've probably seen it. Small businesses were supposed to get help, right? And then all of a sudden, you see businesses like, Shake Shack and all these businesses that are huge getting all of this money, and then whew, they ran out of money. President Trump has said that those, like Harvard, for instance, got some money. He says they will have to pay it back. Shake Shack said, we're going to give the money back. So a lot of these big businesses are now saying they're going to give the money back, probably, due to the public outrage, and it just looks bad. But
Yeah.
there's also been more money pumped into the deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, the initial round of funding, 300 and something $billion, that was gone within 1 or 2 weeks. I think by the 2 week mark, it was gone. And if you didn't apply within the first few days, most likely you didn't get it. And so I believe as of this Monday, the new round, they're going to increase a new wave of funding starting this Monday of 300 and something $billion. And that's because the first round went away so quickly.
Right. So if you are a small business owner, this is your chance to try to get some money to keep yourself afloat. But when you say small business owner, it actually covers a lot of people, meaning the PPP is going to help more people than we think
Right.
if they apply, right? Can you go down who's eligible?
Yeah. The rule is you have to be a small business with 500 or less employees on your payroll. Most small businesses are going to be 500 or less employees. So they would qualify for that for sure. But it also applies for even business owners without any employees. So if you are a business owner, you own a small business, and it's just you, maybe just you and your wife, and you have no employees, even though you technically don't have payroll, you still qualify under this PPP plan. So they would qualify. In addition, if you are just an independent contractor, you don't have an office, you don't have a retail store, you work from home, or you're just like a freelancer. Any of those types of workers that get 1099, 1099 instead of a W-2 at the end of the year, they also qualify under this PPP program. And what they do is the banks will just look at your Schedule C income. So if you're a business owner and you have a Schedule C income, then they would just look at your Schedule C income, and if it's like say $60,000, then they would just divide that by 12, and they would calculate your monthly payroll as $5,000.
Okay, so there's actually a formula to this, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
far as how much money you can get, can you go through what they're going to look at?
Yeah, the formula itself is actually pretty straightforward. There's just nuances to it, which is all it is it's your business's monthly payroll multiplied by 2.5, and that is the amount of the loan that you would qualify for. So if your monthly payroll again is $5,000, then you'd multiply that by 2.5, and you would get $12,500. And again, that monthly payroll is not just what you pay your employees, it's your employees plus any type of Schedule C income you get as a small business owner. That combined is your monthly payroll.
Oh, okay. So it's what you pay your employees if you have them,
Right.
And then is it also the income that you have as a business that goes into the formula as well?
Yeah, so essentially that's what it is. It's the payroll, what you pay your employees, and what you earn as an owner of your business, the income. And that's, again, they just look at your Schedule C, which is the profit and loss from your business, and they look at your net income, and they take that divided by 12. That would be your monthly payroll as a business owner.
Okay. How do people apply? Is this something that do you go on the how do you apply? Like if you're a small business owner, how do you start the process?
Yeah, certain loans you actually go through the SBA, but for the PPP, you go to your local bank or your big bank. So the Chase, the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, smaller banks too. So you just go through your local bank. Most of them have the program up and running by now, and you apply. You do have to have some kind of business relationship with your bank. In other words, you have to have had or currently having a business account with them. But obviously, some banks will allow you just to, open up an account in order to apply for a PPP loan as well.
Right, but most businesses, have do their banking somewhere, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
probably want to try first of all with the bank you're banking with. Can you tell us? Is this so? It's a loan, but I've heard that I've heard you talking saying that there are certain circumstances where it becomes a grant and you don't actually have to pay the money back.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this is so popular. I mean, when you look at the CARES Act, the two most talked about aspects of the CARES Act is the stimulus checks which we talked about, and this PPP program. And the reason why this PPP program is so popular is because it's technically a loan, but if you fulfill certain requirements they ask you to fulfill, the loan is forgiven. You don't have to pay it back. So if your loan is $30,000 and you fulfill certain guidelines, then you don't have to pay that back. It's completely forgiven. It's basically free money. It becomes essentially a grant that you get as a business.
Okay, do you have any of those kind of things that you have to meet in order for it to be a grant? Like,
Yeah, essentially what you have to do is you have to, of the loan proceeds that you get, say it's $30,000, 75% of that has to be used towards payroll. So you have to pay your employees with that money. The remaining 25% can be used for certain qualified expenses, and that's usually your rent and your utilities. So long as 75% goes towards payroll, 25% goes towards those qualified expenses, the entire loan amount will be forgiven.
wow, that actually is really helpful to businesses. And I mean, and if the name is the Paycheck Protection Program, right? So really, it's designed to allow you to continue to pay your employees, right? So it's keeping people employed.
Yeah.
And then you use the rest of the money, and if you're using it for rent and utilities, that allows you to keep your business open.
Yeah.
And if you do all of that, then you actually don't have to pay the money back, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the purpose of the program. I mean, the purpose of the program is to keep employees, I mean, it's to keep people paid. I mean, to keep people who are employees working, is to, not get them furloughed or get them laid off. The purpose is for employees, regular W-2 workers to continue to work or continue to get paid during this crisis. So that's the purpose of the program. And hence, yeah, the term Paycheck Protection Program. It's mostly for paychecks.
So let me ask you about this situation. As you know, especially like in the Vietnamese community, we have a lot of nail salons. All right, and of
Yeah.
course they were
Yeah.
all shut down. So whether it's a nail salon or a hair salon or those kinds of businesses, the person who owns the salon can apply for a PPP, right?
Correct.
Well, what about the nail techs? Are they considered an independent contractor?
Yeah. Again, it just depends on how they are paid. If they are a W-2 worker, then no, they would not qualify. But if they are a 1099 worker, in which they get paid a 1099 at the end of the year, then they are technically an independent contractor, which means that they can apply as an independent contractor, as a business. Basically, they own their own business, basically, under this program, and they would qualify. And
Okay.
again, they would just take your Schedule C income and divide it by 12.
what if you're one of these independent contractor workers? Like gig workers, freelancers, and I know many of them, especially up here in the Hollywood area, and like none of them are working, right? But let's then take the person who rents a station at a hair salon. They would be an independent contractor. They could file for this. Can they also file for unemployment? Or if they did file for unemployment, can they still apply for the PPP?
Yeah. Okay. So if they can, for regular unemployment, there's the CARES Act had passed this additional provision for unemployment that I think California is going to start rolling out this week. Or at the end of April, and there are some interesting details of that. And I was going to do a video about that later. But generally, unemployment, you don't qualify for unemployment if you are a 1099 worker because you're essentially not a worker. You don't pay into the EDD fund. You don't get any of those deductions from your paycheck. So you don't qualify for unemployment. But remember, if you get the PPP and you get funds from that to cover your expenses, you wouldn't qualify for unemployment no matter what. You can't essentially double dip. You can't get
Okay, so you
funds
can't
for both.
okay, so you can't double dip.
Yeah, I mean, if you're applying under the PPP, you're getting funds for technically being open.
Right.
So you can't in turn be applying for unemployment.
Right. Okay.
Because you apply for unemployment, you're saying you're not working.
Right. So let's say if you by chance did file for unemployment and were starting to get benefits, once you apply for the PPP and you receive it, then you can no longer continue to receive unemployment.
Correct.
Okay.
That's right.
We have someone who is asking for the PPP, is this for future payroll, like after they open up again? For sure it's going to be slow. Can then they use the funds from the PPP to pay once they open up again? And that's really what it's for, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's say your company is closed now, and so you're furloughing your employees or they're laid off currently. So long as you implement those funds towards payroll by June 30th, then you can use that funds, and then your entire loan amount will be forgiven so long as you implement those funds by June 30th.
Okay, so the answer is yes. When you receive the funds from the PPP, you can use it for future payroll. So, once things start getting back to normal again and you open up, you get this loan, you pay your employees with the loan, at least 75% of it, and then the rest of the money, if you're using it to pay your utilities and rent and really what it takes to keep your business open, then pretty much it becomes a grant and you don't have to pay it back.
That's right.
I mean, that's really an incredible program. What we were talking before about the whole stimulus package, this is something
Yeah.
we've never, ever seen before. And when you look at what the government is doing to try and help us, and I know that there are people who are complaining saying, it's not going to be enough. Well, it's never going to be enough, right? But it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2.2 with this new funding, about $2.5 trillion. That's a lot of money that the government is pouring in. And, I mean, they may pour more in. We just don't know depending on how everything turns out from here on. But that's a lot of money that the government is giving to basically the American worker. And again, we've never seen this before. It was definitely not around 2008, 2009. And so to see the government being so aggressive in stemming this kind of economic downturn, trying to keep everything afloat, doing whatever they can, I think, I mean, I have to applaud them. I know, yeah, some people say it may not be enough, but I mean, like you said, it's better than nothing.
Absolutely. And so if you are a small business owner or independent contractor and are planning and you need the help and are planning to do it, it's really in your best interest to get out there and do it as soon as possible, because look at what happened last time, right? It was like a couple of weeks, the money was gone. So you really need to get right on top of this and apply if you need the help. And your chances are going to be that much better the quicker you apply for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be gone in a few weeks. I'm hopefully it'll be like a month, but my feeling is within a couple weeks, this second round of funding is going to be gone too. So
Yeah.
you want to do it like right now, as soon as
Yep,
possible.
absolutely. And then, maybe we'll see some other loans being approved after a lot of these big businesses decided that they were going to give the money back, like Shake
Yeah,
Shack, and so
yeah. That was a
hopefully,
kind of that was a kind of an interesting rule. I know people are upset about that. It is technically small business, 500 employees or less, but when you are a franchise, let's say you're like a McDonald's or a Shake Shack or a Taco Bell, the rule is as long as your individual location has 500 or less employees, you would still qualify, even though you have multiple franchises.
yeah.
So that's why these big companies were able to qualify for it.
Right, and you can understand why people would be upset because
Yeah,
the regular mom and pop shop they've got the one location, and the one
right,
location is in danger of never opening up again, depending on how bad this gets and how long it goes.
right.
So, if for people who joined us late, I want to just go back and touch a little bit on the stimulus checks, and that is, if you haven't received it yet, Philip does have some tips on what you can do to maybe up your chances of getting as much money from the stimulus check as possible. Could you tell us again about the levels of income and what they base it on and what you can do?
Yeah, so essentially the IRS looks at your tax returns 2019, and if you haven't filed your 2019, they'll look at your 2018 tax returns. And they look at your adjusted gross income. If you are an individual, you are a single filer, then your adjusted gross income has to be $75,000 or less. If it is, then you qualify for $1,200. If you are a married couple, then your adjusted gross income has to be a combined $150,000 or less. And if it is, then you qualify for $2,400. If in 2018 you're under that threshold and you think in 2019 you might be above it, then you might want to wait to file your 2019 until you get your stimulus checks. Because again, the rule is simple. The IRS looks at your tax returns. If you don't have a 19, then they look at your 18. But if you have a 19, then they don't look at your 18. So you want to be careful with that.
And then also, what we discussed earlier was, let's say you already received your stimulus check. It was based on your 2018 taxes. You made less money in 2019. Then after you file your 2019 taxes, and if you've qualified for more stimulus money, then you will receive up to
Yeah. So
whatever the max is for your bracket, right?
yeah. So if in 18 you made more than $150,000, then you either got no money or just a partial money, depending on what your income was. Um, which means then you can file in 2019 and get the remaining stimulus check that you are owed. Let's say you owe another, you're getting another $500. You want to file your 2019 tax returns as soon as possible to get that $500. Now, obviously, if you got nothing because your income in 2018 was too high and you got no $1,200, no $2,400, then you definitely want to file your 2019 tax returns now if your income is going to be below that threshold, because the sooner you file, then the sooner you will get your payments.
All right. And then we also answered the question earlier, and that is no, you do not have to pay it back uh, because people just don't know how these things work. We've never received them before.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
big question on whether it's going to come back and haunt them if they cash these checks.
yeah. Everyone's looking for a catch. What's the catch, right? But there's no catch here. It's a tax credit. So if you get your $2,400, keep your $2,400. Hopefully you use it wisely, and you don't have to repay it back when you file your 2020 returns.
One of our viewers on YouTube is asking, what's the difference between the California unemployment and the PPP?
Well, the California unemployment is for workers, employees, W-2 workers. So if you are laid off, you don't have a job, that you can apply for unemployment benefits as a worker because you actually paid into it when you are working. It comes out of your payroll. or your paychecks. The PPP is mainly for employers, small business, the owners, the ones who hire the workers. It's for them to receive the money so they can pay their employees and keep them working.
We have another question. I don't know if you're able to answer it. Someone is asking, saying they applied for disaster loans on the 1st of April, but
Yeah.
but they haven't seen anything yet. Any recommendations?
Yeah, that one's a tough one. I've read that one ran out also, but I read that there's with this second wave, part of that was to replenish some of that. It's the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and that's through the SBA, and I read that the second wave may replenish some of that, but again, that's up in the air too. I know a lot of people have applied for that, and many have not received anything from it.
Okay. And if you did apply and you haven't seen anything yet, is the PPP something totally separate? Do you go ahead and apply for that too?
Yeah, I would apply for both.
Uh-huh.
If you're qualified for both, go ahead and apply for both. First of all, you may not even get the EIDL, so you might want to just apply for the PP anyways. But you can get both, and actually, there's a certain amount part of that EIDL that is also forgiven. Again, you have to fill certain requirements, so long as when you use the money for your businesses, one isn't used for the other. In other words, you can't overlap your funds. So long as you use your funds for different purposes in your business, you might be able to get part of that EIDL money forgiven as well.
Oh,
so yeah, it does not hurt to file both. I would definitely recommend filing both because it's okay to get both loans.
Very good.
There's a disclosure though when you apply for the PPP, you just have to disclose that you have filed for the EIDL as well, but you can get both.
Okay, very good. That's a great answer. So again, if you should apply for the PPP, and of course, the quicker you apply, the better your chances. Just because we've seen the money run out, it'll run out again, and we don't know if there's another wave coming. What if I'm a freelancer? Can I go for unemployment and PPP? Well, Phillip answered that a little bit earlier, and that is there's no double dipping. So I know that with unemployment in California, because of coronavirus, if you are a freelancer or a self-employed person, they actually are making it easier for you to apply for unemployment. You go on there, and when it asks you who your employer is, you actually put none. It'll take you to a screen, and there is a section where you're saying that your employment has been affected by coronavirus, by this public health emergency. And so some people have been able to do that. You can't do both because it's either you're filing for unemployment as an employee or you're filing for that money as an employer, right? You can't do both because once you start getting money from one side, you can't get money from both.
Yeah, because if you're applying as an independent contractor under the PPP, what you're basically saying is, I'm employing myself. I'm paying myself to continue working. So if you are getting funding for that purpose, well, you can't turn around and say that, in terms of unemployment, I'm not working.
Right.
You're basically falsifying your application.
Right. Jim Rotter is asking a very good question. I'm not sure that either of us could answer it, and I'm not even sure if the economic experts out there can really answer it right now. And that is, what will the impact of stimulus checks and other money be to inflation?
Well, I'm not an economist, so let me say that first of all. I'm an attorney. I'm not an economist, but it kind of depends on where this money is coming from. I mean, if it is just part of it is people are saying it's just printing of money, then possibly there can be an issue of hyperinflation in 5 to 6 years from now. So and so it's sort of like I don't want to be this as a bad illustration, but if you have cancer, you go through chemo. Now, chemo is not pleasant, but chemo is necessary. So in this case, if you have a hurting economy, then you have to do whatever you can to, stop the economy from going under. And yeah, it's not ideal pumping all this money in. Yeah, maybe because it might cause inflation later on, but at this point around, you need it. Just like if you're sick, you need certain kinds of treatment.
Right. Philip, we have Ken Wynn who is asking a question. If you have a green card and a social security number, but you did not work in 2018 and 2019, would you qualify? I'm assuming he's asking if you would have qualified for the stimulus check.
If you didn't work at all?
Did not work. Yep, did not work.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a student on a student visa, you should be able to go to the IRS and input your information, and you should be able to input your bank account number or some kind of direct deposit information, and you should still qualify for the stimulus check. It's not just for tax; it's for those. You don't have to have filed taxes to get the stimulus check.
Oh, okay. So that's another great piece of information. So even if you did not work in 2018 and 2019, which means you probably did not file any taxes, you are still eligible for the stimulus check. It's just that you need to make sure that they know where to find you, meaning they know where to send the check, right?
Yeah.
They don't have that information.
Yeah, you have to go on the IRS website. There should be a link that you can input your information so that the IRS can send you that payment.
Also, on the IRS website, there is a thing where you can click to find out where my stimulus check is. And apparently, so many people are on there trying to check it out that most of the time it just spits back this thing where they just can't tell you right now.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, as you can imagine, you're right. Everyone's going there. Everyone's asking where their money is and trying to figure out how much money they're going to get. So Ken Wynn, thanks for the question. But yes, you do qualify. Just make sure you go on the IRS website and input your information so they know where to send the check. Again, we said the check is not it's not a loan. It's not, you're not going to get taxed on it. It's actually a tax credit, so you do not have to pay it back. And Philip gave us some really good tips on the difference in your income from 2018 to 2019, that if you made more money in 2018, then hurry up and file your 2019 taxes because you'll probably get more money from the stimulus and you'll be able to get that check. If you made more money in 2019, he suggests maybe holding off then, right? Hold off on filing your taxes.
Yeah, if you have not filed 2019 taxes yet and you're going to make more money in 2019, then hold off filing. You already have an extended deadline. So hold off filing until you get your stimulus check money. And then once you get your stimulus check money, you can go ahead and file your 2019 tax returns because, again, the IRS looks at your tax records. So if you have not filed 2019, then they'll just look at your 2018 information to see if you qualify.
And then also, if you already received your check and they based it off of 2018, but 2019 looks a little better for you, go file your 2019 returns. And if you are, quote unquote, owed more money from the stimulus because you made less money, you will receive the difference, in another check or another deposit. So that's, when you think about it, this doesn't even seem real, but it's kind of a good deal that, for the people who qualify, that you're getting this money and that you don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, I mean, again, people think, what's the catch? But this is, maybe I'm an optimist, but this is our government trying to help us during this time. I mean, when you have times like this and you have, this is a disaster not caused by any of us. I mean, no one's at fault in this disaster. And in times like this, you need your government to help you. Some would argue it's almost kind of inhumane if they don't help you. So, but definitely, we need them to help us, and they are helping, And again, there's gonna be, it's not that easy. I mean, there's gonna be problems. There's gonna be, people who are unhappy, but again, I think the government is doing, what they can to help us.
I've seen a lot of people also complain about the amount,
Yeah.
and you know, it's like, well, it's better than nothing, and really, I know that for some people, to them, $1,200 is not a lot of money. There are some families where $1,200 will go a very long way in helping them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't. Go ahead.
if you think of, I mean, if you're a family of, five, two parents and three kids, that's $2,400. That's plus another 15. That's $3,900. And for some families, that's at least enough. That will help them. You know.
Absolutely.
So I think it's kind of crazy when they had just talked about this back in February and January, and you were kind of hearing about this. I mean, people are like, this is not possible. How can they just? First of all, how does it even work? How do you even
Right.
just give people? How do you just like have a helicopter and just drop money on people like this? But they did it. So again, kudos to them.
Yeah, it really is amazing if you think about it. When we first started hearing about the stimulus, I remember reading the news story that Steve Mnuchin said that, it's going to send money out to people, and it was like a movie. It's like, what?
Yeah.
We've never
Yeah.
heard of this before, and look what's happening, right?
Yeah.
I actually think it's amazing, and I know that with every single conversation these days, everyone gets so political, but when you're looking at the situation here, there are businesses that may not reopen again, right? And
Yeah.
that's bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I totally understand why people are anxious to get back to normal because people are not working.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult situation for everybody. Okay, looks like we have another question from Van Pham. And it's a long one, so let me read it for you. It says, mixed status family combination with SSN and ITIN. What's ITIN?
I don't know. ITIN.
Yeah. Are eligible for stimulus check payments? That's a question. Example, H-1B SSN and H-4 ITIN plus child SSN. How about this? How about we give them your contact information, because that sounds like it's a lot more complicated than we can talk about right now. How do
Yeah.
people find you, Philip?
So they can contact our office via email. It's info@phillipmalaw.com. So it's info@phillipmalaw.com. You can email us there. We also have a Facebook page. You just look up Phillip Ma Law Group. And we also have a YouTube page with some of these videos. And we're going to be posting up more videos in the coming weeks. And that's also Phillip Ma Law Group.
Okay. So phillipmalaw.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they want, you can also just phone us, contact us via phone. We're still, we still receive phone calls. That would be 714-899-4999.
714-899-4999?
Yeah.
Did you pick that number yourself?
No, it kind of came, when I kind of took over the business, the prior owner had that number. So
wow.
Yeah, I know. It's very
well,
fortunate.
It's very auspicious.
Yeah.
All these nines.
Yeah.
Okay, so Van, I'm sorry that we can't answer your question because it's so complicated, but you feel free to contact Philip. His website is phillipmalaw.com, or email him at info@phillipmalaw.com. Or you can call them. Their office number is 714-899-4999. And maybe he'll be able to help you with your question. We've got Denny Hooton saying that Philip is a stud. Yes, he is.
Denny is a stud.
He's a tax stud. That's what he is. And again, we covered the stimulus check and whether you should file your 2019 taxes if you haven't already. There is the extension. What is the new deadline for taxes if you haven't filed?
It's July 15th. So if you haven't filed yet, you have till July 15th to file your returns.
Okay, and that was an automatic extension, right? Or did you have to file for an extension?
No, that's an automatic extension. I mean, normally, you can request an extension that will carry up to 6 months into October. but that's something you have to request. But this one is just automatically extended for everybody.
Okay, so July 15th is the new tax deadline. You can, however, apply for request another another extension, right? You
Yeah,
can
and I
still.
believe that would just carry over to the normal extension deadline, which would be October 15th.
Okay. All right, very good. I know that you are posting some videos so that people are able to go back and watch if they have other questions. What are some of the other topics that you're going to be talking about other than stimulus check and the PPP?
Yeah, we're gonna cover different other aspects of the CARES Act. Again, as I mentioned, we might be covering some of the other SBA loans that were enhanced. They were kind of already there, but the limits, the amounts increased with this CARES Act. So we might be talking about that. We're going to be talking about other aspects that people don't actually talk about a lot. One of it being the changes in the retirement accounts. So if you have a 401k and IRA, some of the rules pertaining to that, they're traditional, have changed for 2020. And that might be helpful for a lot of people, actually. So we're going to do a video on that as well.
Okay, very good. Funny, each time I hear IRA and 401k, I know a lot of people took a big hit with the markets taking a
Yeah.
dive the way they have.
Yeah.
And this is a topic for another show. But soon I am going to do a segment to talk about the economics of what's happening right now and investment opportunities. I made some changes, I would say, has it been a year maybe? And while most people really took a bad hit in everything that had just happened, I am so fortunate to say that I still made 17. Denny, was it 17%? I'm awful with numbers, horrible with. I just hate financial stuff, and I've never paid attention to it. And now that I'm as old as I am, I know that I have to take better care of myself as far as knowing more about investments and how I'm going to, protect my retirement and all that stuff. So anyway, that's another show. But you can find Phillip Ma also on YouTube. They just look up Phillip Ma Law.
Yeah, they should be able to just YouTube Phillip Ma Law or Phillip Ma Law Group, and they should be able to find our law office page.
Okay, Van Pham just said Social Security number, individual tax ID I number, individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so a mixed status family with both Social Security and individual taxpayer identification number, are they eligible for stimulus check payments?
He can contact my office, but it's actually, if there's a tax return on file in 2018, 2019, all this is you look at the 1040 and then you look at the adjusted gross income, and that's the number. So if it's 150 or less or 75 or less, that's the number you look at. However the money comes, wherever the money came from, on your tax return, you should be able to see that adjusted gross income figure.
Yeah. So Van, I think the answer I think is yes, that you are eligible, especially since you've got SSN, right? Social Security numbers for some of the family. Also, child Social Security number. Yes, you are eligible as long as that child is 16 and under. I had
Yeah.
someone on Facebook message me. She was so excited to get her stimulus check, but it was off. And she said, they messed up. They messed up. And I asked her about her family, and she said she had 3 kids, 2 adults. We make under this. We should have gotten this. And then I found out that one of her children is 17. And isn't that
Yeah.
awful? 17 won't get the money. 17 and above, even if they're your kids and you claim them as dependents, you will not
Yeah.
get the $500 stimulus check for them.
So I mean, if they might want to talk to their tax preparer. I mean, if the child is, let's say, 19, and they might want to talk to the tax preparer to see if it's possible for them to be independent. Because if they can be independent, their kid may still qualify for the full $1,200.
Okay, very interesting.
SBI. So you want to shift the qualification from a dependent to an independent, if they can. I mean, there's
Right.
other things that you get from it. So it's just something you have to talk to your taxpayer about.
Right. But then, and that's for 2019, because if in 2018 you counted them as a dependent, that's no good, right?
Right, right. So if you have not filed 2019 yet, you can see if that's something that you can do, and if you can do it, then yeah, you would still qualify.
Okay, very good. So again, you can, if you have any more questions, you can find Phillip at phillipmalaw.com. You can also call him. He's still taking phone calls, right?
Yeah, yes. Go ahead and call our
714
office.
714 899 4999. 714 899 4999. You can also email them info at phillipmalaw.com. And we got someone who just wrote it in the chat for us. So thank you for that. So again, if you need money and you need to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, you really should do it as soon as possible. And also, just to reiterate some of the stuff that we talked about, the stimulus check will be based on your 2018 or 2019 tax returns, whatever's been filed. If filing your taxes will cause your stimulus check to be lower, perhaps you should wait, because now your deadline is July 15th, right?
Correct. If you can do it, then hold off. Wait until you get your money.
And we also know that you don't have to pay back the money. And then once you have your money, so let's say you get your stimulus check, it's for the full $1,200, but then you file taxes, and if according to your 2019 numbers you wouldn't have gotten that much, you're still okay, because they've already mailed it to you.
Yeah, it's a tax credit. You don't have to pay it back, even if your income is higher in consecutive years or subsequent years.
Okay, so you're all good with that. Awesome. Pretty good. All right. Again, you can find Phillip on YouTube. He's got videos on all these subjects, and he's also planning to do videos on other factors of the CARES Act, small business, right? SBA. There's so many.
Yeah, There's SBA 7A, and then the one that one of your viewers mentioned was the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is part of the SBA.
All right. Okay. And then also very important that if you did file for the disaster loan, you are still eligible to file for the Paycheck Protection Program. So best to apply for both. Just disclose that you have, because you may be eligible for both, right?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to apply for both. If you think you're qualified for both, go ahead and apply for both, because you can get both under certain circumstances.
All right. Phillip, thank you so much.